Okay. Hello.
We're back.
Hello.
Okay. And then another thing that I just popped in my head. We are a little bit different than your typical lender, as well, as Dallas pointed to. So the underwriters technically report to me, right? And I don't abuse it, but it's true. So at the end of the day, if I want to make a business decision to book a loan, let's say, oh, we've got one today, we're going to close it, and the appraiser messed up the report. He didn't put the right legal description on the report. Most lenders would say, oh, hold on, we can't close that loan. We need to get it fixed. I'm like, it's not really material. It's not credit, income, or assets. So let's just book the loan. If it takes the guy a week to get it to us, it takes a week, but let's not make the client pay for that. Let's get this loan closed, right? So I'm doing that right now today, closing a loan that another lender would probably stop on. We also send out CDs without appraisal sometimes. So if you've got a quick deal and the appraiser's taking too long, we'll send a CD out without the appraisal. Now, if it comes in bad, we've got to address it, right? We'll have a client sign an appraisal waiver saying, hey, I'm okay with not receiving the appraisal 3 days before closing. So we do a lot of things in the trenches that you don't know about until you need it. Like Alice said, you don't know you need it till you need it. We do that. About 20% of our business every single month. So if I do 60 loans next month, probably 12 of them are turned down somewhere else. It's just me giving somebody a lifeline. That's it. They went somewhere else. And so we're known kind of in the Kansas City area as the guy to go to when a loan falls apart, because we'll close it. I have, I don't know. I bet there's almost 10 loans closing this week that started 2 weeks ago from another lender.
Wow.
So unfortunately, Celebrity Home Loans went out of business, right? So I took on, I don't know, 60 of their applications. I probably took on 40 of their loans. And some of them I'm giving back to the loan officers as they're onboarding because they're coming over, and some of them I'm closing out for them, right?
But don't be afraid that we're too busy, because we're never too busy.
Well, and that's the scalability, and that's the unique part really to me, is that because I've seen it over and over again, you get to a point where you are too busy, and then there's no team to support you.
That's so true.
This is a perpetual motion machine. There is no way to overwhelm this system because of how it was built. It's you can send us 100 clients tomorrow and they'll all get responded to.
Well, and I think, and then I want to hear from you. I've got some questions, but like, it's neat that you have George, like, and I love it when, like, there's relationships that I make sure everything's going well, like with Kevin's relationships, but then the ones that I've developed, that I brought into the fold, like, you just have that extra person who's just like, watching over everything, and who's your friend too, but isn't the person who's necessarily like, even though George can do a loan, I'm licensed, George is licensed, we understand loans, but you really have a partner that's your advocate and just making sure that you're happy. So that's been, I think, something that our realtors have really liked.
Alice, do I need to call Joe?
You can, if you want to, we can.
Oh, he's just asking if we can do manual underwrite. It's a realtor reaching out. You told him yes?
Yeah, we just got one that said, can you do a manual underwrite? And I said, yes. He goes, I might need you to save one. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, Andrea, a couple things. So Alice is really dialed in with some of the marketing things, co-branding with realtor teams and everything else. And you had sent over something to me, a system called Chime that you're currently using.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about like what you are doing, and Alice can probably share what they're already using, and let's do that for a few minutes if we can.
Yeah. So Chime is a CRM that I was using at the last brokerage, and E&V also uses Chime. They just switched over the platform so that it is specifically designed and made for E&V. So we're just kind of getting back situated. I'm sure you guys know, anytime you make a change like that, you have to go back through and organize, everything doesn't just switch over easily. But our website is directly connected to Chime. So I can invite lenders to be on my platform. And then when you're on the platform, I can assign leads to you. We can communicate back and forth through Chime. There's a way to do, lead generation where, you're already on there. We can split costs through Chime as well. It's a beast of a CRM. There's a lot of pieces to it. So we're just kind of getting things situated, but there's a lot of potential there. It connects with Google and, the LSA ads and things like that. So,
LSA,
yeah.
lead spend ad, is that what you mean? Or what's LSA? I'm sorry.
So Google LSA, it's basically like, so if you were to Google realtor in Prior Lake, you're Google certified, you come up. If they call you, it comes in through Google and you pay for that call.
Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's Google certified is a new, that's like you haven't, that's not that old. That hasn't been around for that long, but that's a thing.
Yeah, so basically you have your Google business page, you have your Google LSA page, they talk to each other. And when you get reviews on your business page, it correlates with your LSA and then you'll get, bumped up.
Can we have Gina do that for us, Alice?
Isn't that's a realtor thing, isn't it?
So it's not just a realtor thing, because there's other different people like plumbers and roofers and other service providers. And I would think that a lender would be able to do that because there has to be people that go on and Google, like tons of people. So you would think then you would pop up, they would call in. It ends up being like between $20 and $40 a lead, but these are people specifically looking for you. They're looking at your page and they're calling you.
Yeah, so I'd heard about this, and this was probably like last fall. I'd gone out on an appointment with Kelsey, and her realtor was talking about it, and she kind of did the example where I guess there's some realtor in California, and you might know who I'm talking about, but like he was like kind of the pioneer of this for the realty force. But like she Googled him, and like he was the top of everything. And it was because he'd really worked that platform that, and then we had gone back to look, and it was very new at that point, or maybe it was last summer, but there were certain categories that couldn't do it yet. So, but maybe lending is now.
Okay.
So I tabled it, but thank you for bringing that up, because
yes, it should be a category if it's not.
yeah,
If it is, let's do it for Minnesota and Kansas City.
yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
so you select your service areas. So the thing is, you can't miss a call. If you miss a call and that person doesn't get called back, you drop way down. So I didn't realize I missed a call at one point, and it was just one. So my calls went away. I reached out to them. They're like, you missed a call on this date. And I was like, oh my gosh. So what do I do? And they're like, well, you can expand your area. So now I'm getting calls from like, George, you might know, but like Winthrop, Minnesota, and Dassel, and like the outskirts, because that's where I'm number one right now. And then the more calls that you take, the more it moves in. So I just had one in Lakeville and Farmington, and it's a great resource. So
Like it.
Cool.
We also
So
have,
have you heard of Sync?
I've heard of Sync, but I'm not familiar with it.
So that's, I looked at Chime a little bit because George had mentioned that yesterday. It looks it's beautiful, and it's like, it looks like a really cool, and like you said, it's a beast. It's got a lot of stuff, but we have worked, like I have one team that I work with that it's in Sync. So they'll tag me in a lead, and then they can put a note in, and then the note comes to my phone and to my email. So then I know right away, and then I can follow up, and I can put the notes in there, and I can create like follow-up appointments and stuff. And so we've worked in Follow-Up Boss before and stuff. So it is something that we're familiar with doing. And we think it's great when, to partner with agents that.
And it's nice too, because if I add you in and you go and you update your profile, I can put you on my website as one of my lenders. And
So, I have a question before I forget. How many
Yeah.
leads do you think you have in your database from like the last
Um,
year or whatever?
well, I have like 400 in my total in my account right now in
Okay,
my.
so we have a system called Daily AI,
Mhm.
and it will reach out to somebody as many times as we want them to. So it can leave a voicemail, it can send them a text message, it can email them, and it's automated. So the voicemail's pre-recorded. It's just me saying, "Hey, this is Kevin Roller with Leader One," or it could say, "Hey, this is George with Leader One. Andrew, I wanted me to reach out to you, see if you're still looking for any houses," and it leaves a voicemail. It can send them a text message. And so what we have the ability to do, I don't know if you're nurturing these clients or if there's some that you're like, "Hey, spam them until they say no." We can
Mhm.
do either. We can nurture
Okay.
them, or we can touch them 12 times over the course of a week, and really try to get them to engage or not. Right.
Awesome.
So we have the ability to maybe take some aged leads, if you will, and then we can do it with new leads. We can create like a landing page where you type the lead in, and they immediately get a text message as though I was sending it to them that says, "Hey, Andrew, I wanted me to reach out to you. It looks like you're wanting to get pre-approved. Would love to help you out with that. Here's a link below. You can also call me here to start the process." Something like that, right? And you
Yeah.
could sign off on the verbiage and what goes out and how many times it goes out.
Yep.
So we do have other things that help, again, make you more successful, I think. So
Mhm. And yeah, so with that, there's definitely, you know, different lead sources that are good to keep in your pocket. And I feel
Yep.
like the different lead sources need to be handled different ways. I've done the ones where you just get them coming in, but they're usually junk. And those are the ones that probably, throw them on, throw them on something that's going to hound them a little bit until they say either okay or go away. But yeah, that's great. I'm interested in that stuff. So
What, tell us a little bit more about your team. Like, are you the team lead and you're responsible for like feeding them, and like, are they doing generated business as well? Or like, how is your team structured?
So they're all really great. They're newer agents. Um, One right now is kind of standing out a little bit above the other ones. She's very motivated. Um, she's Spanish speaking and she works in insurance. So she is touching people every single day, talking about, oh, you're renting. Why are you renting? You should buy a home. And this is how you can buy a home. This is how you can get a tax identification number if you're, I don't know all about it.
yeah, the
But
I-10, yeah.
Do you have
Yeah.
a good Spanish speaking loan officer? Because
no, but we need one desperately.
we might have that one for you. So we've got Denise Collis on our team. She's actually been with Leader One, I think, for like 13 years. She was the processing manager. She's always been licensed. She processed loans, and she's always done loans for her friends and family. She's bilingual. She's amazing. And she decided to just not do processing anymore. And she's just a full-time loan officer on our team and handles all of our Spanish speaking clients. So you would have total access to her. She understands what those clients need, that they'll need to Zoom. They'll need to, like, George is going to have to be running over to their house to get their documents and have them sign stuff sometimes. And, but we would love to help her grow.
We
That
would
would be
have to get
great.
her licensed in Minnesota though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I bet she
Okay.
would.
Because
Yeah.
we are actively looking for somebody and quickly, because
Well, send them to George, and we'll have Denise handle it, and I'll just be the loan officer on it at first until I get her
Yeah,
license.
we can make that work.
Yeah, we can do the deal today that way for sure.
Yeah.
okay, so yeah, and that's the thing is, right now they've got, somebody that we can call, but then there has to be an interpreter, and like we
Yeah.
really want to be able to connect these people directly with somebody who can speak to them, because it's important.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's something that is really helpful.
She's fantastic. And what we can do is we can set up a follow-up with maybe like you, we'll talk to Denise, and then we'll set up a follow-up where you can do one of these with Denise and just, and your agent and
Yeah.
George, so you guys can
Her
all
name is
chat.
Fari, and she was trying really hard to tune in today, but she wasn't able to. But yeah, she's really great. She's been taking on a lot of my buyer leads, so I can kind of focus more on the listing side. And then the other two are wonderful too. They just have they have other things going on too.
Mhm.
So we're just trying to get their feet off the ground and moving and keep that motivation going.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of like, that's my team. And I brought them over from Exit and formed the team as we made the brokerage change. So there's been a lot of adjustments. But also, when you guys talk about your team and how you operate, that is very similar to E&V and how we operate here in Minnesota. Like if I have a question, there's one email I can email and it'll go to, like 8 or 9 different people, and they'll be like, oh, I can take this question. And it's really helpful when you have people that operate well together.
I think it's a really slick company. I really like your guys' marketing. I really do. I think it's top notch. And so I hope you do well in Minnesota. I think it's more of a, what's it called? What's the word? Transient. It's more of a transient population. And so I think that speaks well to people coming in from other places and leaving as well. So.
And it's, more of like a luxury brand.
Yeah.
And where I live in Prior Lake. So George knows there's, all of the lake homes and the lake, people. And then there's just a lot of diversity in like price range and properties here. And the whole thing is luxury at every price point. So whether it's $150,000 condo or a multi-million-dollar property, they're getting the same service and it's beautiful. So that's what I'm mostly excited about.
So I share the same passion. I don't care if it's a $50,000 loan or a $1.5 million loan. That client's going to get the same service.
Yeah.
So I believe that those $50,000 clients, $100,000 clients, they refer me a lot of business, and it turns into millions of dollars worth of business, right? So I take care of them, coach them, train them, and I tell people like, hey, will you grab me a cup of water, buddy? Yeah, please. I tell them like, hey, so maybe in Kansas City, it's like Minnesota. It's a circle of like Minneapolis. It's a circle. So we've got south, north, and the city in the middle, and there's really burbs all the way around it, right? It's kind of. So I tell people you might have to go out on the outside of the burbs to be able to get your first home, but it doesn't matter. You're building wealth. You can move into the city because it's more expensive. So right now, just buy a home in I call it DeSoto, Kansas, right? You've never heard of it because it's a small town outside of the city. Just go buy a home there, start building wealth. You can buy a cheaper home, build some wealth, get some equity. Thank you, buddy. And then you're on your path to building that generational wealth that we talked about, right? So I treat them all the same. So whether it's 50,000, 1.5 million, they're going to get the same level of service.
That's important.
Yeah, cool. So I could do this all day, but I want to be respectful of people's time. So does anybody want to talk about anything else today or just kind of next steps? It sounds like we should get a meeting with Fari. I have met Fari. We actually had the chance to grab lunch with her a few weeks back, and she's awesome. And I think she is going to do fantastic. And I understand a little bit. I've worked with people with the EITN tax, instead of a Social Security, that they have the EITN number. And I know that it's a different process. Like Alice mentioned, it's a lot of kitchen table document gathering and stuff like this. And I've actually done that in my career. In fact, that's how I started in a mortgage. Every single application was at somebody's house. And oftentimes I ate dinner with them. So.
We don't do like, we're really still developing our I-10 program, but like, I mean, there's a lot of people that just, they don't necessarily need the I-10, but they don't speak English. So, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
we
we're
just
kind of,
we just brought I-10 in-house, so we don't have to broker it anymore. We can do it.
yeah,
in-house.
Denise just isn't, she's kind of getting up to speed on it, I think, still at this point.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome.
the
Well,
I-10's
that's
a
good
tough
to know.
program because you have to put so much money down, so not everybody qualifies. And then a lot of the Hispanic community doesn't trust banks for whatever reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's kind of, so then you've got to coach them. So it's a long game. You got to teach them, coach them to put it in the bank, wait 60 days so it's seasoned. Like, it's a process. So
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. And it was really great meeting all of you. I think that we'll work really well together. I'm excited to do some business with you guys and see where it goes. So George will
Yeah.
definitely stay in touch, and
I'll get with George too after, and then we can kind of get the next meeting on the books, and we can even have a pre-meeting about, you know, about Chime again or anything like that beforehand. But I'm happy to be on that next call as well.
Great.
awesome.
yeah, let's get some
That sounds
business going.
great.
You guys aren't too far away either. We can make a hop, skip, and a jump and come down and meet you guys at some point.
Well, that's one
Yeah.
thing I didn't really get into is like, you know, some of the things that like we can do, like, and we do like an open gym every other Thursday at 9 o'clock. It's a Zoom. There's a different topic, like everyone hops on, different markets all over, you know, different states. And so you guys can hop onto that every Thursday. We'll give you invites to that. We can do Zoom lunch and learns we do reverse mortgages. We do, you know, jumbo loans. We can talk about condos or VA or, you know, manual underwrites and credit repair.
Oh,
And then, yeah, you know, we've talked to Kevin about, you know, Kevin and I could come up and we can do one, we can fly up and do one in person. So if you guys want to put together a big seminar or whatever, we can come up and do that too. So there's a lot of fun stuff that we can do that we'll be excited to
Absolutely.
Also, if you need, like, if you're like up against the gun and you need us to talk to a listing agent, you need us to see if somebody qualifies for an appraisal waiver, you want us to discuss how to do a buy down, all of that. We do all of that kind of as naturally in business all the time. We just do it for you. But at the same time, if you need an extra conversation or you're trying to make an offer and you want to know, we can help with that. So
we got
Awesome.
down. That was really fun last year when it was so competitive and there was like all these offers, like, you know, the lender's not typically as involved in like the offer as we could be last year, but I was just like, I was hanging in the balance. I had my emails all crafted and like I'd perfected what to say, and I was using words like 0 issues and quick, and if you want to close early, and like we were just winning offers. And then, but I was like, oh my gosh, we're doing the lending side, but I'm like exhausted like you'd be at the end of like going under contract with nothing. And it was like, whoa, this is intense.
All of that is so helpful though, especially when there's multiple offers, because you know, as a listing agent, you should be connecting and making sure that they're qualified and that you can call somebody and they'll pick up the phone and you can actually talk to a human. You know, what documents have been collected, things like that. And if you are trying to get a hold of all of these different lenders, it makes your life a lot more difficult. So when somebody picks up the phone and calls you or emails you, then that step's already done and it makes them look a lot better.
Yeah.
So
Well, have a great day. And it's again, really nice to
Yeah.
meet you.
Yeah,
Good to
nice
see
to
you,
meet
George.
Yeah, I'm glad we were able to do this. I'm so happy with all of you and glad to know you all and looking forward to doing some business together as a team.
good seeing you.
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks
All right.
for putting it together, George.
Thanks a lot.
Sounds good. Thanks, Andrew.